Okay, so a bit of a different video today. So back in May of this year, I got sent some emails from a company called OBSBOT. To be honest, originally thought they were spam. Kind of ignored them, but they kept emailing me and getting in contact, and it turned out they wanted to send us some free cameras, which I'm not going to turn down. So the kind of cameras they do, they are remotely operated and obviously different to what we usually use, because usually we're relying on DSLRs. For anyone not familiar with what we do, we film bands around the UK and Europe, filming full sets. So I think it's a little bit different to what probably the usual audience is for these kind of cameras. We had actually looked into a solution like this before for Outbreak Fest, where we're looking at using these cameras with a kind of remote operator to capture it all, but even hiring the equipment, it was going to be too expensive to use. So these are kind of an interesting thing to me that we could possibly use for fixed angles. Specifically, I was kind of thinking of drum cam and back of room cameras. We're using two of these cameras. So this is one of them here, the OBSBOT. So yeah, this is the OBSBOT. We've got two of them. At the minute, I'm recording through a wireless microphone into the camera, but just for comparison, I'll put the other camera side by side with this one and then switch to the camera audio. So this is the camera audio now. At live shows, we found even when I turned the volume fully down, so it's like 1 on the camera, the live music's just still way too much. So you're really not going to pick up much. So you will have to use an external recorder or external mic, something like that. But you can plug an external mic into the camera, which is what I'm using with a wireless microphone at the minute. Audio on the cameras isn't the best. I found even when I was doing stuff for work, when I've been filming it, kind of like just more corporate events and meetings and things like that, the audio is still quite raspy, which I'll show now. For the video quality, it is 4K. It's 3084 by 2160. So for such a small camera, it has got really good quality. You can also do HD with the camera as well. Also, they're really light and easy to set up in various different places. They're flat at the bottom, so you can just set them on things, but if you want a bit more security, usually I'll just clamp them on with clamps like this to any kind of pole or surface that has a space that can take it. I've done this a few times with drum cameras or kind of back of room angles. I have found though, just because it is so wide for back of room, it's great for small venues where you can maybe hang it from the ceiling or from something like that. But for larger venues, just being so wide, it's not the best. And especially when it comes to the kind of exposure of the stage versus the crowd, just with most venues in the UK just having mental lights. And from some of the film's hardcore shows, I don't care about the light show. I really don't care at all. But unfortunately, most places in the UK do have a crazy light show. So this is kind of an issue with these cameras. But regardless of that, like connecting to the cameras is extremely easy. You can either connect over Wi-Fi if you want a more stable connection, or you can connect via 4G. One of the things though is on the mobile app, you can only connect to one camera at a time. So you can connect to a camera, start recording with it, disconnect from it, go into the other camera, start recording with that one, and then return to the first one if you want, which makes things a bit easier, because if you're just leaving it running and you're not going to be kind of fully controlling it the entire time, or if you're going to leave one static, then you can kind of leave that running and control the other one, because there's full controls for kind of moving the camera around. There's also motion tracking, which does work really well. I found even in our environments, which are probably the hardest ones that the camera will have to operate in because it's so dark and there is so much going on with the lighting, that the motion tracking does actually work pretty well.
We're not very far from home at all.
They are also continually releasing updates for the cameras. So that's one thing I would say, that you don't have to install it. As soon as it pops up on your phone, you can just kind of continue recording. But just when you are kind of prepping your cameras, getting them charged, I would just make sure if there's any updates you need to put in and install, because it's obviously going to make the camera better and make it easier to work with. So yeah, the different options for landscape and portrait. Wide, close up, and auto. I don't know if this is going to change anything on the camera, we'll see. I think that's zoomed. Also the speed even at which the camera kind of moves, zooms in, things like that. You've got slow, standard, and fast. Yeah, the motion tracking is pretty good. It can sometimes lose you. Please excuse the mess. It could not be arsed tidying up. Come back to my head. There it is. Bring it back. There we go. Okay, what else we got? One of the things is, though, I don't know how to get rid of the motion tracking box once it's on, apart from kind of disconnecting the camera and coming back on. It's like, I move it too fast. So yeah, this is me like trying to control the camera, but it's coming back to the motion tracking. So it is moving a little bit, but then it's always coming back to me. But yeah, you can control, if you don't want to use the motion tracking, you can just control the camera, going left, right, up and down, everything like that. What's this one? It's just zooming in a peak, cool. Zooming out, zooming to full. So yeah, we'll see if that has actually zoomed when I go back to look at the footage. And that's just putting the camera back to straight. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's a button to remove the motion tracking, so you can just go back to doing this. Up and down, up and right. Cool. Down. So yeah, on air, wide, auto, P1, P3, base. That was creepy. Wide, let's go back to P1. Okay. So yeah, it's on auto at the minute. Let's take it off auto. There we go. Okay, so we can change the ISO. 400, 800, 3200, 6400. Obviously, way overexposed. So let's go to 400. Shutter speed, got anything from 25 up to 8000. Yeah, we're shooting at 25, so 50. Let's go up higher. Okay, and there's different styles, so let's go style, outdoor, pastel, custom, sharpness, contrast. Red. Let's try there. Brightness up, brightness down. So yeah, I may mess with this more in venues just to see what I can get. It's pretty dark, so white and balance as well. Auto, daylight, fluorescent, tungsten, cloudy, custom again. Slats, ISO again. It's quite a significant jump from 400 to 800. That's what you can do, doesn't have incremental. So yeah, it's just like 400, 800, 1600. So let's leave it there for just now. Okay, let's go back to all. There we go. Okay. I think that's all the options really. You can take photos, you can take video as well. So yeah, for a small venue, obviously I don't think this camera's real purpose is for live music. There we go. Okay. So yeah, you can have a controller as well where you control both cameras at the same time. Only thing is a wired connection. So I think if you wanted to use it for live music, for example, you could use a DSLR or something else at the back of the room as a static angle. You just start recording, leave it. And then if you wanted to use the controller, you could have one at drums and one at side stage wired up and obviously like securely put. And you can control both of them using the remote. That could be an idea. But for me, really, like the app is really easy to use. I've had a few issues connecting with Wi-Fi, I will say, but generally when I've been connecting to my phone internet, it's been fine. Even in some of these venues where phone internet is pretty stretched, it's been pretty easy to use. Generally, battery life has been about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but it's just a USB-C connection, so if you've got a portable charge, you can kind of plug it into that to keep it going for longer. I've not actually tried that myself yet, so I don't know if there are any issues with overheating or anything like that, but it seems to be pretty good. What else? So for these cameras, they run on the micro SDs. The only issue I've had is that it's really hard to get the micro SD out. It's like even with my fingernail, cannot get it at all. So I've had to use. Oh, I've stopped recording. Okay. So yeah, even with my fingernail, I find it hard to use. So I've had to use a screwdriver just to poke it and get it out. But even trying to get it in again as well, I can get it in, but it won't click. So I do need to use a screwdriver to click it back into place. But yeah, you get a good recording time, get a good amount of space. So yeah, there's an input for an external mic here. Cable here, obviously USB-C here, because I was just using the charging it whilst using it. Also, something that's really cool is that you can turn on the camera remotely using your phone. So as long as it's within scanning range, you can turn on the camera remotely from your phone, as well as powering up from the button on the front. There's a few different things, like I'll come out of this just now. So yeah, I'll shut down the app entirely and go into it. So this is what you'll see, Mastermind on Air. So I've just renamed one of mine iPhone camera just so I can tell the difference between the two of them. But so searching. So we've got iPhone camera and we've got Tail Air, which is on 7% just now. But yeah, so you can connect to them. Connection method, either Wi-Fi or cellular data. You can connect with both. And yeah, so you can connect to both here. I'll do a cellular data here, which is going to be a cellular. Join. And there we go. And it even tells your microphone's connected. So yeah, honestly, for the price, these cameras really good, really useful. There's a few issues with kind of lighting and things like that. For me, as someone that's filming live shows, it would be nice to have different color profiles. Like I would really like some kind of log thing. And obviously that's not, the sole dedicated purpose of these cameras. It's not for filmmaking. It's not for things like that. But it would be nice to have a log profile for people that don't film. Basically, we cheat with the colors. That's all it really is. So we'll have a piece of footage like this. She's got her own personal hair. The spirit in my dear. and then we'll apply what's called a LUT, which is just somebody going in and like manually colouring it how it looks, and then it can look like this.
She's got her own personal hair. The spirit, my dear.
This camera doesn't have this option. I've just kind of been trying to match as best I can the colour. It's not going to be amazing, but it's like the closest I can get. But yeah, things, these cameras, they're small, they're discreet, it's not going to be in anyone's way, and hopefully people like more natural. It's like, it's just, you know, it's a small thing you can kind of tuck away, and people aren't hopefully going to, you know, it's not like you're standing there with a massive DSLR right in their face. It's going to be a little bit more subtle, and hopefully you'll get more kind of like people being natural, basically, is all I'm really looking for. But yeah, they're small, they're light, they're easy to carry around. They come in these little cases as well, which is the case of the camera on one side, then I can net it on the other side for the cables and everything else you need. So the positives of these cameras, I would say, is they're light, they're a lot cheaper than the alternatives you might look at for these kind of things. Very easy to control by your phone. There's options there as well to kind of control by remote control. There's like HDMI connections and multiple others that I won't bother listing off, but I'll put up on the screen. So yeah, there's multiple options for connections that you can use as well. They shoot 4K as well. They do actually perform pretty well in very dark environments, which is what I'm generally working within. So if that's something that you're kind of looking for, might be an idea. And there are kind of constant updates to improve these cameras as well. It's very fluid motion. There is a zoom. I don't know how much personally I would use it, but I kind of rely on this more for like kind of wide open shots that you can move around and stuff. You can use, there's motion tracking as well to kind of track people, whether it be across the stage or if it's people doing talks, things like that, which is really great. The negatives I would say would be, and again, this is just for me, for someone that's kind of shooting live music, is just like the color profiles. I would like a log profile if possible. The cameras for me, I've sometimes just turned on by themselves. Like I've opened my bag and there's a very hot camera just sitting there, which isn't great. What else? The connection can sometimes be a little spotty connecting to the phone app. I've generally found that over Wi-Fi though, which is weird because you would think Wi-Fi would be the more stable one. Generally the phone connection has been okay though, so that could be just the Wi-Fi, not the cameras themselves. On occasion I've gone to turn on the camera, it's on like 50%, and I've had it charging, put it away in its bag, and haven't used it since, so that's a little odd. I don't know whether it's just turned on by itself or not. Yeah, and again, it's a very niche issue, but the kind of lighting issue at venues where things like this happen, again, that could just be the lights though, and something that isn't really avoidable, but like, I do use DSLRs for back rooms and like drum cams, things like that, and don't have these kind of issues flag up. So, you know, it's just something worth noting. But yeah, like I've showed these cameras to a bunch of people when I've been working events, either music or just kind of corporate work stuff. And people have been really interested in them because they are small, and they are delivering 4K video. So, you know, something to look into. Yeah, obviously this video is a little bit different to what I usually do. But thank you to OBSBOT for sending across some free gear, because it's everything we do is voluntary for the most part. There's very, very occasionally kind of paid gigs will get brought into film by artists, managements, festivals, whatever, but they're pretty few and far between. So it's really nice to get to be sent some free cameras to try out, and I will be using them in the future, and just kind of trying to figure out for us what is the best fit and best angle for these cameras to be used on kind of a constant basis. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too waffly, and enjoy the OBSBOT.
So I realised after filming this video
that I only ever watch review videos to see examples of the footage when it comes to cameras, and I've done little bits of that in the video, but not all that much. So here I'm going to put just some examples of just the OBSBOT footage by itself, and then somewhere I've kind of blended it into sets as well, and hopefully that kind of shows you what the camera can do. I will say, just to note, that I did try and use both of the cameras we have at the Spiritual Cramp Show by mounting them to kind of each corner of the room. I set them up, I thought I'd manually turned both on using the power button on the cameras themselves, but when I went to connect with my phone, only one of them had actually turned on properly. Obviously with the OBSBOT you're supposed to be able to turn the cameras on completely just through the app, but the app was not able to find the second camera, so I wasn't able to turn it on, so there is only one angle from this show for the OBSBOT, but I thought it's a fair thing to point out, to be honest, when I'm kind of doing this review.
I wanna see two steps. I wanna see cities die.